Well, good evening. I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight for our second public hearing regarding the Denton Confederate Memorial Advisory Art Committee. And so this is our second meeting. Our last meeting we had was out at Crossroads at our government center, the county government center out in Crossroads. So this is our second of 4 public hearings where we're receiving input from the public regarding a new art installation which will be up on the Denton County Courthouse on the square lawn. I hope everyone got an opportunity to pick up your public comment form, and we would welcome y'all if you want. You have 3 minutes to go ahead and address our committee tonight. We'd love to hear from y'all and your input regarding some advice or input regarding the new art piece which we're going to construct later next year. I would like to go ahead and read our public comment form here. So we want to thank you for taking time to come to the Denton County Courthouse-on-the Square Art Committee's listening tour. We sincerely appreciate your involvement in this process. In November of 2018, the Denton County Confederate Memorial Advisory Committee unanimously voted to keep the Confederate Memorial at its current location on the Denton downtown square and add historical context to tell the complete story about slavery. This committee was formed as a procurement committee to help identify a vendor for a public sculpture to bring historical context to the Confederate Memorial as directed. The committee is governed by state mandate to handle this in a fair and confidential manner. As such, we are not able to deliberate about the status of the Confederate Memorial today. We are asking everyone to share their ideas for a proposed sculpture, a historical statement etched in stone, and information for kiosks to be installed on the courthouse on the square lawn. You are welcome to provide your comments publicly here tonight. We ask that you limit your comments to 3 minutes. If you do not feel comfortable speaking, please fill out a form which is attached and leave it with us tonight. You're also welcome to send your comments via email, which goes to the whole entire committee, and that is artcommittee@dentoncounty.com. So our first person registered tonight is Mr. Willie Hudspeth. Mr. Hudspeth. Here it is. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Let's see. It amazes me that we are here talking about doing something with that statue that represents the group that was fighting to keep slavery allowed. Other things, but the main one I'm concerned about was to continue having slaves. And so we're now tonight talking about putting up something, and the main issue is where you want to put it in an honorable position. If it's history, then I think it should be where history can be looked at and in the context of that. But you're wanting that statue to be in a place where it's going to be honored. So that says to me, you're recognizing what a organization was or tried to do to keep me in slavery. That's not something that I would think would be a good idea. It would be like bringing Hitler, after the many things that he did, up or put monuments that represented him visible so everyone can see it. Why not move the statue to a place where the people who fought in that time can view it and do what it is that they would like to do to remember that group? I just don't get it. I don't see what is this group doing looking at that image of what it represented, and the speakers who will support it will tell you, well, they won't really say, but they're embracing what they did. Now, that was really an act of treason. They went against the government that was formed at that time. So I think what would probably be more fitting is to have that statue put somewhere else. And the three suggested places that I would offer up is cemeteries, 2 of them, where the people are, or in a museum somewhere, or in a historical park. And you might ask, well, what's wrong with it being where it is? It's elevated high, it's on the square, it says to everyone here, in fact, on it says to our Confederate soldiers. And I keep asking, who is the our that they're talking about? Who is it representing? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I do want to remind everybody that everyone is entitled to their opinion and can provide their input tonight, but the decision has been made based on the previous committee's public input that they received through a variety of meetings across the county, that the memorial is to stay where it's located, and they made a recommendation to Commissioners Court to add some historical context, and that's the process where we're at today. So we're not deciding whether to keep it where it's at or to move it. That decision has been made. What we're doing now is moving forward and trying to get input from people about artists you may know, themes that we need to address, language that you'd like to have included in the future art piece. Okay? Next is Mr. Frank Vaughn. Thank you for being here tonight.
I'm Frank Vaughn. I've lived in Denton County 30 years. Never knew much about all this stuff, okay? I never knew much about the history of Denton because I'm down in southern Denton County. So I wanted to come speak about the statue, what I thought should be done to it, so I thought I'd research it because I can't speak till I research it. It was erected by Katie Daffin, the Katie Daffin chapter, United Daughters of Confederacy. Katie was killed in innocent in a car wreck in the 30s. She spoke strongly about states' rights, and she believed in the lost cause of the South. And that's the virtue that the South was there to be beneficent and ethical and a Southern way of life. And when I was growing up as a kid, I kept hearing about Northern aggression. All right? Lost cause that they're talking about decries the outright central role of slavery. They say slavery wasn't a cause. As late as 1936, the UDC's official publication supported the role of the Ku Klux Klan. So I thought, well, I didn't know much about that. So I got to look, and during the 1920, the role of UDC was to put out these monuments. Okay? Right at the same time in Denton, the Ku Klux Klan took off like wildfire in the 20s. And then the statues put up in 1918, 1920, Quakertown happened. I never knew about Quakertown. I don't hear about it. I don't know about it. Okay? You got it kind of hidden away in some places. It's not real well talked about. That was a whole community that was forcibly relocated. They lost their homes, they lost their property. So 1918, the statue's put up. 1920, the Ku Klux Klan marches through with 300 for 2 hours. You have lynchings going on, and then these people are forcibly located. Okay? So all this happened. So my thing was to tell the truth, the whole truth. How do you tell the whole truth of the context that this statue was put up in? It was put there to send a message to black people to stay in their place. It was used as a method to show what was right about the South. And the UDC keeps talking about how, they still talk about how the South's fight was not a fight for slavery. They're still talking like that. They're still supporting this stuff. And then I've read that there's history of segregated water fountains. Why put up a statue to honor the Confederate dead if you have a black and white water fountain? So that statue was put up, I think, and I've changed my opinion, but the statue was put up to keep people in their place and to show them where to go. So I think you ought to put the statue in its place. If you're going to keep it there, put a big black wall around it. All right? And put on that black wall what's happened to the residents of Denton County that were treated unfairly. So it's still there. You guys get to keep your statue, but it's covered up with a big black box. Make it a tomb. Let's bury this racial divide. Let's bury all this stuff that happened a long time ago that no one talks about. So why am I 30 years, why am I just now finding out about this stuff when the county doesn't talk about it? So I'd say bury it in a black box.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your input. Next is it Jenny or Jenny? Jenny? Okay. All right. We'd love to hear from you. You're welcome to take a form. It's got our email address on there. We'd love to hear your comments. Or you can write us an email or fill out the form, and we'll be happy to keep it for the record, okay? We have some people who just arrived. If y'all want to take a moment to, if y'all need to fill out your comment form, or if you want to go ahead and speak, we'll go ahead and introduce the next person. Yes, sir. Good evening. If you'll state your name for the record.
My name is Bill Menas. I live in Denton, 2501 Pioneer Drive. I've been a resident for 2 years. When I first came to Denton, the committee had just been formed to decide what to do about the statue, and I thought that would be interesting, so I came to most of the meetings and sat in on them. And then when we had the town hall meetings all over the county, I made most of those. So, and I've done some reading too, like the guy that preceded me. One thing I noticed, I was at a county meeting where Peggy Riddle said that the CSA emblem, I believe it's about that high, and it's on the arch. She's going to put the county emblem on over it, cover it. Is that right? Is that what she said?
That's news to me.
Oh, it is? Okay. Well, I don't know where. I've also been watching videos of the meetings, and maybe I saw it there, but that's okay. Well, maybe she didn't say that. I hope she didn't, because I think it's a bad idea. Neither side wants to, it would deface the monument, and it wouldn't change it either.
Right.
And when I was looking at these videos, this was at the meeting at, it was maybe around April 2018, where the committee had rendered its opinion, and they had to come out with a decision what they were going to do about it. And they decided that they were going to put a 4-foot granite thing, and that's what we're doing here. We're trying to figure out what the wordage is going to be. And John Baines said to decry slavery. I don't even know what decry means. I just want to say why couldn't he say condemn slavery, but decry slavery? It's a little bit lame. And just a few minutes later, Commissioner Hugh Coleman came up with suggestions about what to put on the wordage, and he suggested the Gettysburg Address, along with and then he mentioned the Bible, and then he mentioned something, maybe teachings by Martin Luther King, and then later on he mentioned the Gettysburg Address, and then later on he mentioned the Gettysburg Address. He seemed hung up on the Gettysburg Address. And if you read the Gettysburg Address, there's nothing in there about slavery, folks. Not one thing. So just before that, he said, we're going to come up with a statement to decry slavery, and then he suggested Gettysburg Address. So I think John Baines was a bad choice to head this committee. He was too agreeable. He didn't stand up to get. It would have been a compromise. I know we've decided on this, but it would have been a compromise not to destroy the monument. The committee from the very first decided they're not going to destroy it. They just wanted to move it, and it would have been a compromise if we had done that, but we didn't do that. So here we are. I don't care what you put on the little thing. Nobody's going to see it from the street anyway. They're going to still see the 17-foot monument. Thank you.
And that's why we're here today, is get opinions and recommendations to do something about it.
All right. Who's next? We had some people just show up. Did y'all want to speak tonight? Want to give you an opportunity to speak? Okay.
My name is Jessica Luther Rummel. I've been a resident of Denton County for 4 years, as I was asked to point out last time, though I don't know that that matters much. I'm in favor of intense historical contextualization put on, near, around, preferably as large as possible, associated with the monument that would preferably highlight the fact that in August of 1905, it was reported in the DRC that Denton's UDC chapter that launched and erected this monument was organized by Miss Katie Daffin, who, according to the Texas State Historical Association, was the daughter of Lawrence Daffin, a proud Confederate veteran and first-generation Ku Klux Klan member. This same organization, the UDC in Denton, was named after the Daffin family, who also, Miss Daffin, was the person who directed the local UDC chapter to erect the Confederate monument. In 1913, the Katie Daffin UDC first announced that their plans for this monument were for it to serve as a tribute for the Confederacy from the county. I think that should be pointed out on contextualizations. The DRC reported in 1916 that the UDC members visited the Lee Elementary School to encourage local children to petition their parents for contributions as a concrete observance of the birthday of Confederate Civil War hero Robert E. Lee. The children were promised that the monument would not only be a memorial to soldiers, but that it would also be a cause for, or a tribute to the cause of the South, not just soldiers. In March 1916, the DRC reported that the UDC initiated official fundraising campaigns in all of Denton's local schools, all except for one. They were listed by name. Of course, the Frederick Douglass School was not included because that money was promised to be for water fountains on the monument that would just be for the children. So, of course, the African American school was not included because those children would not be allowed to drink from those fountains. So that would have to be pointed out very clearly. In an organizational pamphlet published by the UDC, or excuse me, the City Federation of Women's Clubs, which is available in the Denton City Fowler Library, it points out that just a few months before the Confederate Monument fundraiser was launched, this organization was formed. And they published a bulletin around the same time of the fundraising requesting that what they referred to as the settlement of Negroes, or Quakertown, be removed. So that was done in congruent with the launch of the fundraising campaign. That would have to be pointed out. Also, the City Federation of Women's Clubs, which was in charge of initiating the enaction of the white women's vote. They had just earned the right to vote in the 20s. Half of the City Federation of Women's Club members were UDC members. So it was the same women who petitioned for the removal of black citizens from the inner cities of Denton that erected the Confederate monument.
Ms. Luther, would you send us some of that information in email, what you'd like to see? Let us,
Too big for an email. I've got a 50-page thesis that I've been trying to
okay,
share with the
condense
community for
something
years.
and send us some information as to what you'd like to see on our new artwork,
It'll be a
please.
big plaque.
Okay. And then we can sort through it and
Yeah,
look
we'd
at
love that
some-
information, so if you have that, we'd be happy to receive that.
You haven't sent it. Okay.
We'd be happy to receive it. So you just be sure, be happy to
Of course, we're
send it
not
to
going to
us.
use 50 pages, but, we can look at it and look at some of the,
Court records that is filed in your court records. I gave each one of you physical prints.
okay.
The first time I read it.
You don't want to
in your
resend it.
court
Okay, thank
3
you.
years ago.
Okay.
So it's the same,
Actually, in
it's the
the
same
court
information?
records available to
Okay.
all citizens.
Okay,
Okay.
all right,
Thank you.
perfect, perfect. All right, is there anyone else who would like to speak, to give us input on the memorial tonight? Anyone else? Okay, all right. Thank y'all so much for your participation tonight. We do have 2 other meetings. We have the next one is, so y'all can, some people showed up a little bit late. I'll be happy to re-advertise those tonight. So we have our 3rd meeting, which is going to be at 7:15 at the Martin Luther King Center in Denton. That is next week, right? Is it next? It's the 18th. I wrote all of it down, but it's going to be Monday, November the 18th at 7:15 p.m. And then we have our fourth meeting, December the 2nd, in Flower Mound at the Southwest Courthouse, where we had one of the other previous meetings before, okay? All right, thank y'all so much.
Please enjoy the cookies and coffee.